Part 111. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1103. 1101. Granny Ma cooks and thinks again and again. Should we teach Su Wei the secret technique? Once taught, Su Wei will be her successor and will be involved in chaotic disputes. Let's not talk about Su Wei's enemies in the mainland. If those old guys in Thailand find out, it will bring disaster to Su Wei. What should we do? While eating, Su Wei kept picking up vegetables for Granny Ma and said, "Grandma Ma, eat more and you will be in good health." Alas, Granny Mappa sighed. Her body has been severely damaged. It's a miracle that she can survive until now. Don't force too much. Grandma Ma, you don't teach me those secret skills because you want to protect me and want me to get married and have children like an ordinary girl, Su Wei said, but my father was persecuted, and the enemy family was powerful. Even if I don't seek revenge from them, they will know my existence sooner or later. As the Chinese saying goes, if the grass is not removed, it will grow again when the spring breeze blows. My mother, you also know. She is a woman who lives in love and has no ability to protect herself. Even if I am young and have some tricks, I can't resist the revenge of those people. Mother-in-law, please teach me those secret skills for the sake of our mother and daughter's safety. Granny Ma raised her head and looked at Su Wei with loving eyes. Yes, their mother and daughter simply cannot resist the revenge of their enemies. Okay, Granny Mappa sighed, I hope you won't regret it. After learning this secret technique, you will not be able to have children in your life, because even if you give birth to a child, it will be disabled. Yes, Su Wei was young and didn't think about the children at all. She only thought about revenge and stimulated curiosity. Mother Ma, I won't regret it. Granny Ma nodded and said, if that's the case, please ask your mother to come over. I will teach you only if both mother and daughter agree. After all, your mother saved me and took me in. I will take you in as my mother disciple. I have to get her permission to teach you the secret technique. Su Wei listened and didn't take it seriously. She nodded and said, well, I'll tell my mother when I get back. Mother Su Kenyun has no opinion, but Su Wei has a way to convince her. After eating, Su Wei hurried back. Uncle Chi came over to deliver watermelons and asked in confusion, oh, why is Wei gone? Haha, it's okay. I have something to do at home. I will come back when I have time, Granny Ma said. By the way, I still have a lot of food at home that I can't finish. You can take some back. Then I'm welcome, Uncle Chi said with a smile, carrying a large box of roast goose and returning home happily. When Su Wei returned home, Su Kenyun was chanting sutras and praying for her late husband. Mom, Grandma Ma promised to teach me those secret techniques, Su Wei said. However, she said that she will teach me only if you come over and agree in person. Su Kenyun felt mixed joy and sorrow after hearing this. Originally, she thought that Granny Ma would not agree, so she did not have high hopes, but now that Granny Ma agreed, she felt a little panicked. After all, those things were harmful to people. If you are not careful, you will regret it forever. Let her daughter let go of her hatred and live a peaceful life, or take revenge. Su Kenyun was a little hesitant. Su Wei saw her mother's hesitation and said, Mommy, if I were just a singer, an ordinary girl, if the enemy found us, we would not have the ability to protect ourselves. Granny Ma has many skills, I just need to learn a little. I can protect myself and Mommy, and when the time comes, I can take revenge. Isn't this the best of both worlds, Mommy? Don't hesitate. Su Kenyun was shocked and confused after hearing this. Finally, she thought about what her husband said in the letter about the huge Huo family, which gave them mother and daughter enough strength to take revenge. If they don't learn some secret techniques, it may not be possible for them in this life. Okay, I agree, Su Kenyun said, but Wei, if you learn those secret techniques, you cannot attack ordinary people. You can only use them on our enemies, otherwise it will harm T and he. Su Weiwei knew her mother's worries and nodded, "Mommy, I've made a note of it and won't attack ordinary people." Su Weiwei's original intention was not to attack ordinary people. "Okay, I'll go to Granny Map with you tomorrow," Su Kenyun said. Although she was a quiet woman, she couldn't stay calm when it came to her husband. That was the man she loved to the core, and she couldn't let him die in peace. Su Weiwei was very happy when her mother agreed. She could finally learn many secret techniques. By the way, Su Weiwei asked her agent for leave now that she didn't have time to go to the company. Although the agent was very unhappy, Su Weiwei was now popular and the agent couldn't afford to offend her, so she had to let Su Weiwei go. Early the next morning, Su Weiwei returned to the countryside with her mother. Granny Ma was not as slovenly as usual, but put on a grey robe, her hair was neatly combed, and she sat on the futon. "Kenyun, I want to ask you, do you agree that Weiwei wants to learn voodoo skills?" Granny Ma asked calmly. If Su Kenyun agreed, she would teach Su Weiwei. Su Kenyun thought about the time when a thief broke into the house and stole things, but it was Granny Ma who saved the family's finances. Granny Ma's thin body could almost be blown down by a gust of wind, but it allowed the two thieves to escape. This is also when Su Kenyun realized that Granny Ma was not an ordinary person. "Since it is so good, let your daughter learn it." "Mother Ma, I agree with Weiwei. After all, we, mother and daughter, do not have the ability to protect ourselves," Su Kenyun said. "I hope that by learning the secret technique, we can protect ourselves, and if we have the chance, we can also take revenge." "Okay," Granny Ma nodded, "let's start now. Weiwei, come here." Su Weiwei stepped forward, knelt beside Granny Ma, and kowtowed to Granny Ma. "Thank you, Master," Su Weiwei said excitedly, finally able to learn the magical secret technique. She should study hard and become her own master, and maybe she can master others. Granny Ma nodded, took a wooden bracelet from her wrist, and said, "Weiwei, this is something from our master. It was given to me by my master back then. Now you have become my apprentice and you will inherit it from me in the future. Mantle, this bracelet is for you, it will help you get twice the result with half the effort in your cultivation." Su Weiwei stretched out her hand, took the reward from her master, and said excitedly, "Thank you, master." Su Weiwei looked at the bracelet carefully. It was simple and thick, and she couldn't guess what material it was made of. However, the pattern on the door looked very mysterious and weird. She put it on her hand carefully. "Stretch out your right hand," Granny Mappa said, taking out a sharp knife. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1104. 1102. Su Weiwei stood up and stretched out her hand. When she saw the sharp knife, she felt a little scared, but thinking about the wonderful things in the future, she forced herself to stay calm. Su Kenyun didn't dare to look, but turned her head. Granny Ma made a cut on the middle finger of Su Weiwei's right hand, and then opened the lid of the wooden box. The blood on the fingers fell into the wooden box. I saw that the originally quiet wooden box suddenly became agitated, and there was even the sound of fighting, which became louder and louder. At the same time, a foul smell came from the small opening of the wooden box. It wasn't until 77 or 49 drops of blood had been dripped that Granny Map closed the lid of the wooden box. "Okay," Granny Ma said, "this is your natal goo. If it succeeds, you will be suitable to practice our secret technique. If it fails, you will not be able to practice the core part and can only learn some external skills, the secret technique." Su Weiwei was a little worried, but she also believed that everything would be left to God's will. If God lets her study, she will pass. Su Kenyun was chanting sutras on a futon not far away to calm down the guilt in her heart. Granny Ma looked at Su Kenyun, shook her head and said, "Don't worry, Wei is a kind and sensible child and will not go down the road of no return. Su Kenyun opened her eyes, her face a little unnatural, and nodded, I hope so. 2 days later, Granny Mappa opened the box. Inside the wooden box was only a goo worm about half a foot long. Su Wei was a little worried and asked, Master, was it successful? Successful, Granny Map said, before you cast the poison, you still have a chance to regret it. Su Wei couldn't help but break up and said, no, I won't regret it. When Granny Ma saw this, she stopped talking and cut another cut on Su Wei's middle finger. The earthworm-like worm in the box pounced directly on Su Wei's finger. Holding Su Wei's fingers, he entered her body. This. Su Wei was startled, Master. Don't be afraid, this is your life goo, which is equivalent to your other life, Granny Ma said. With this, you can practice the secret skills of our sect, and at the same time, you can get twice the result with half the effort. The most important thing is, even if your own life is gone, as long as your life goo is still there, you can still live. What if the life goo disappears? Su Wei asked, calming down a little. It was scary, but she was ready to accept it slowly. What's more, even if the natal goo enters the body, there is no pain. It's not as scary as imagined. No, it is nourished by your blood. If you are not here, the poison will be there, and you can continue to live. If the poison is gone, you will also die, Granny Ma said. There is a book here, you first. If you don't understand something, you can ask me. Yes, Master, Su Wei said, took the book and started practicing. Su Kenyun stayed and cooked for Su Wei and Granny Ma. Uncle Seven sometimes brings me some fruits, but I can't see Granny Map, which is a bit strange. For 7 days, Su Wei learned a lot from Granny Ma, and also learned how to raise goo. Master, my enemy is coming to Xiangjiang soon, can I take action? Su Wei asked. She couldn't wait. Granny Map looked at the excited apprentice, shook her head and laughed, and said, if the other party is an ordinary person, as long as you have physical contact with her, the goo insects will enter the other party's body by themselves, and the rest will be left to time. Master, you are so awesome. Su Wei smiled and jumped a few times on the spot. But, Granny Ma said again, if the other party is not an ordinary person, or if she is protected by someone who understands metaphysics, you cannot act without authorization. Ah, Su Wei was stunned. Master, someone who is good at metaphysics will restrain us. Part of it is okay, said Granny Map, so you can't rush for success, you have to find out clearly before taking action. Well, I don't worry if you go alone. I'd better go back to the city with you. When Su Kenyun heard this, she felt slightly relieved. With Granny Ma by her side, she would not be so worried about her daughter. So Granny Ma packed up some bottles and jars, locked the door, and followed Su Kenyun and Su Wei back to the city. On this day, He Tian also came to Xiangjiang and began to prepare for the subsequent exchange competition. Tang Qian, Qi Jinmin, and Li Xian came to visit the class in person. If it were anyone else, they could not enter the national team at will, but Zhu's Hitao led the team. Tang Qian, Qi Jinmin, and Li Xian were all acquaintances of Zhu's Hitao, and they also knew their relationship with He Tian, so they were allowed to come in. However, Tang Qian was not empty-handed. He brought each person a souvenir to the national team, which was regarded as a sponsorship for the swimming team. Tian, come on, Tang Qian said, because the work was going well and he was in a good mood. He Tian drank the water handed over by Kui Ying and asked, how is the film distribution going? It went very well, and I would also like to thank you for introducing me to MS Xie. Now I have reached an agreement to cooperate with MS Xie's eldest brother, Mr. Xie Jizi. Our film will be released simultaneously in Hong Kong and Southeast Asia, Tang Qian said with a smile. I really didn't expect it to go so smoothly this time. In China, Tang Qian's connections are easy to use, but not in Xinjiang or Southeast Asia. This time it was He Tian's glory. He Tian smiled and said, "That's because you are very capable. By the way, Sister Tian, your competition will end on the 14th, and our premiere will be on the 15th. You will have to show up dressed up then," Chi Jinmin said. "If possible, you can also bring other athletes with you. Go." "It's okay anyway," He Tian nodded and said, "Okay, after the game, it's okay." "Okay, let's all have fun then," Tang Qian said. Li Xian's eyes sparkled at the side and said, "Eldest cousin, I will be your male companion when the time comes." Haha, He Tian smiled, remembering the days when she and the Snake King supported each other. "Okay, you are so handsome, I have to dress up properly, otherwise under the contrast of such a little girl like you, I am an ant now." Judging from age, He Tian is 13 years older than Snake King, so she can indeed be called an ant. "No, Sister Tian has always been young and beautiful," Li Xian said with a smile. "In my eyes, Sister Tian is always the most beautiful." Tang Qian looked at Li Xian and then at He Tian. "Oops, someone wants to poach Huo Yingzhe." "Okay," glib He Tian smiled and said, "when you first come to Xiangjiang, you must listen to Tang Qian and Zhenmin and don't run around and cause trouble. If you don't obey, you will have to stay in Yanjing. Can't go anywhere." Okay, Li Xian felt a little aggrieved, and all his original thoughts were gone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1105. 1103. The exchange competition between the mainland and Hong Kong has officially begun. When He Tian entered the venue, she glanced around. Perhaps due to psychological induction, He Tian's eyes fell on a man in the audience. This man wore sunglasses, but the aura on his body was familiar to He Tian. When He Tian looked over, Huo Yingzhe raised his left hand and drew a circle in the air. He Tian smiled, "This is Huo Yingzhe. In order to protect her, he came to Xiangjiang. It's great, with him here, she won't be afraid anymore. It's just that it's in another identity, not Huo Yingzhe's identity. After all, with Huo Yingzhe's current status, if he wanted to apply to come to Xiangjiang, he would have to go through many layers of review and approval, and he might not be able to get it approved, and it might even bring trouble to Huo Yingzhe. It's too much trouble and not worth it." So the couple discussed that it would be better to do less than to do more. They could just come over under other identities and stay in Yanjing to work separately. Huo Yingzhe came, and He Tian was completely relieved. At the same time, Li Xian, Kui Ying, and others were also present, so she could play with confidence. The swimmers here in Xiangjiang are also well trained and have good results, but they can't compare with the national swimming team in the mainland, which invests heavily. Especially someone as powerful as He Tian is beyond the reach of the Xiangjiang team. He Tian's achievements swept across Xiangjiang and received many praises. Tang Qian, Qi Jinmin, Xie Weining, Qian Zhijao and others also came to watch the game, and they cheered sweetly. Beautiful women get preferential treatment everywhere. Su Weiwei also came with Granny Ma. In the audience, Su Weiwei had been staring at He Tian, her eyes involuntarily fixed on He Tian. Huo Yingzhe wore sunglasses and immediately looked at Su Weiwei and Granny Ma next to Su Weiwei. Kui Ying has investigated Su Weiwei, and she can recognize Su Weiwei even if she is wearing trendy sunglasses. Kui Ying was not far from Su Weiwei and could feel Su Weiwei's small changes. This woman doesn't like sports, so she wouldn't come over to watch the game. If she comes here now, she should know that He Tian is the daughter-in-law of the Huo family. Are you coming here now to take revenge? As for Snake King Li Xian, he is very sensitive to things that are not human, especially things that are slightly spiritual. He could feel that there were actually two worms in the body of the old and young woman. Although he looked like a bug on the outside, he had never seen such a disgusting bug. I really want to vomit twice. However, because of this reason, Li Xian looked at Su Weiwei and Granny Ma more. As for Huo Yingzhe, he discovered that there was a problem with the two people as early as the first time and has been paying attention to it. Granny Ma sat down, feeling a little restless. She looked around the entire arena and naturally saw He Tian. Granny Ma couldn't feel the special aura about He Tian, and thought that He Tian was just an ordinary person, so she was slightly relieved. However, just when she relaxed and taught her apprentice Su Weiwei, she felt three unusual eyes. Immediately, Granny Ma felt that she was not sure, there really was a master. Although those people in the mainland smashed many metaphysical things more than 10 years ago, there are still many hermit masters among the people. Weiwei, let's leave, Granny Ma said. Without explaining, she stood up and left. Mother Ma, what's wrong? Yu Weiwei said, then He Tian is just an ordinary person. Granny Ma looked at Yu Weiwei, widened her eyes, and said, quickly go. Su Weiwei had never seen Granny Ma with such harsh words. She felt a little puzzled, but also a little scared, and quickly helped Granny Ma leave. When she left the stadium and got into the car outside, Granny Ma still looked solemn. Mother Ma, why are we leaving? Su Weiwei asked while driving. It was previously agreed that after the competition came out, He Tian would interact with the audience below, and she could take the opportunity to ask for autographs and show her excitement. Like that, and then took the opportunity to touch He Tian's body. Seeing that she was far away from the gymnasium, Granny Mappa slowly said, I feel a threat inside. Threat, Su Weiwei said, I didn't feel it. That's because you are ignorant, Granny Ma said, there are at least 3 people protecting He Tian. It can be seen that the Huo family sent many people to He Tian's trip to Xiangjiang. If we act rashly, there will be only death and no one will be alive. Possible. Even at her peak, Granny Ma may not be able to deal with those 3 people, or even one of the 3 people, she may not be able to win. 3 people, Su Weiwei was stunned, so many. Yes, the Huo family may know that there are enemies in Xiangjiang, that's why they sent so many people, Granny Ma said. There are not only 3 metaphysics people, but even 6 plainclothes men with guns. Although Granny Mappa's physical strength is not as good as her peak, she is very sensitive to touch and has strong observation skills. Even if Su Weiwei practices for 10 years, she may not be able to reach the level of Granny Ma. Oh my God, Su Weiwei was surprised. Master, do we have no chance? Granny Ma looked solemn, and after a while she slowly said, there is no hope now, because if we don't get close to that He Tian, we will be discovered, so we can't get close. At least, I can't get close. As for you, practice, the time is still short, as long as you don't do it deliberately, you shouldn't be discovered. Hearing this, Su Weiwei felt a little better and said, Master, after I go back, I will practice hard and I will always have a chance in the future. Well, as the saying goes, if you keep green hills, you won't have to worry about having firewood. Granny Ma was very satisfied after hearing what her apprentice said, but she was afraid that the apprentice would be angry, act on his own initiative, and have his own way. Revenge. It seems that accepting Su Weiwei as a disciple may be the right choice to pass on what she has learned. Yes, Master, I shouldn't act out of emotion, Su Weiwei nodded. Although she was a little disappointed, she also knew that the opponent was too strong and she couldn't force it. She is still young and can take her time. Furthermore, she still had her mother and her master, and she couldn't put them in a dangerous situation. Su Kenyun was reciting sutras at home. Seeing her daughter, Granny Ma, come back so soon, she felt a little surprised, but more worried. How's it going? Su Kenyun asked. it's impossible to succeed so quickly. There are many people on the other side, so we have no chance to attack, Su Waiwei said. Master said, we can't force it. When Su Kenyun heard this, she looked at Granny Ma. Granny Mappa nodded and said, that's it? We are outnumbered. Instead of dying, we might as well recharge our batteries and wait for the opportunity. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1106. 1104. Su Kenyun breathed a sigh of relief and said slowly, Wai Wei, why don't we take revenge? Your father has passed away. I only have you as my only child. You are your father's only bloodline. I can't let anything happen to you. Su Kenyun was also from Yanjing and knew how powerful the Huo family was. Over the years, she has also received news about the Huo family from her former friends one after another. It can be said that the Huo family is at its peak at this time, and they cannot be enemies at all. Otherwise, it will undoubtedly be like an egg hitting a stone. She had already lost her husband and did not want to lose her daughter again. Mommy, we don't have the ability to not take revenge for the time being, but we can't forget the hatred, Su Waiwei said. She had never seen her father since she was a child, but her mother had always said good things about her father in front of her, which made her full of fantasies about her father. At the same time, Su Waiwei also wants to learn the secret skills. She is worried that if her mother does not let her take revenge, maybe Granny Ma will not teach her the secret skills. That kind of supernatural power really made Su Waiwei unforgettable. It feels great to use those methods to defeat your opponent without anyone noticing. But Su Kenyun was a little hesitant, not knowing how to make a decision. Seeing that Su Kenyun was regretful, Granny Ma felt a little unhappy. After all, she had spent too much effort on Su Waiwei, and she already regarded Su Waiwei as her heir, not the child of her benefactor. Furthermore, the natal goo has already entered Su Waiwei's body, so it's already too late to regret it. The voodoo is there and the people are there. If the voodoo is not there, the people are not there. There is no room for regret now. Mommy, there is nothing more, Su Waiwei said, I will not give up revenge. As long as I live, I will avenge my father. Now that I have the inheritance of my master, I naturally have to practice hard. When Granny Ma heard this, she was very happy. As long as Su Waiwei doesn't regret it, she can continue to guide. If the natal goo was not in Su Waiwei, Granny Ma would not be so determined. After all, she was not a heartless person, and she did not want Su Waiwei to take this path. But the life goo has been given to Su Waiwei, so she has no way to find another successor. Kenyun, you've already started, don't regret it, Granny Ma said, that will only make people live in hesitation and contradiction, and they will not be peaceful for the rest of their lives. Yes, Mommy, Su Waiwei said, Master is right, there is no turning back when you shoot a bow. I have no way to retreat and can only move forward. But, Mommy, don't worry, I will work hard in the future. Be cautious and never act recklessly without fighting an unprepared battle. When Su Kenyun heard that her daughter and Granny Ma were both so determined, she sighed and said, Ba, you are so good. You masters and disciples can make your own decisions. I can't help you, so I can only pray for you more. Seeing that her mother no longer objected, Su Waiwei was very happy and said, Thank you, Mommy. I will definitely avenge my father. You love each other so much, and God will help us. Granny Ma felt relieved, entered her room, and began to think about how to help her apprentice increase his skills. Su Waiwei was chatting with Su Kenyun. Make mother happy. In Su Waiwei's heart, she still values her mother very much and doesn't want her to worry too much. Sports City, competition venue. Kui Ying was about to approach Granny Ma when she saw Granny Ma holding Su Waiwei's hand and leaving from the other side. Although Li Xian noticed something strange, he didn't care. After all, the two women had those disgusting bugs in their bodies. It was so disgusting that he didn't want to see it. As for Huo Yingzhe, he didn't pay much attention after the pair of head-dropping masters left. He came here this time to ensure that He Tian would not be assassinated at the competition venue. The rest would be discussed after the competition. Those who came to watch the game today were not only ordinary sports enthusiasts, but also relatively well-known people in Xiangjiang who came to watch the game because they support the cause of sports. For example, the Li family, Pan family, and other big families. The Zhao family is also included in this sponsorship. Zhao Dingxianghui took her son to watch the game in the stands. This Zhao Dingxianghui is a sensational figure in Xiangjiang. The mistress took over and even drove the original wife and her children out of Xiangjiang. She is now the head of the Zhao family. Her son, Zhao Zikai, still held a telescope in his hand. Xiao Kai, which athlete here do you like? Zhao Dingxianghui asked. She was not just here to watch the game today. Zhao Zikai is a 7-year-old boy who is a bit introverted and shy. When his mother asked, he whispered, I like Barbie in swimming. She is very powerful and beautiful. Swimming Barbie? This is disgusting, she is an old woman. Zhao Dingxianghui was about to say something, but suddenly the athletes entered the stadium, and the audience in the stands began to applaud and warmly welcome them. Zhao Zikai also stood up and clapped his hands vigorously. Although Zhao Dingxianghui was not happy in her heart, she could not continue to sit and become an outlier, so she also applauded. Amid the applause of the crowd, athletes from the mainland and from Hong Kong entered their own tracks at once to prepare for the competition. He Tian is on the third track. Compared with other athletes, He Tian is a bit small, but his body proportions are good and his muscles are tight. Although she felt uncomfortable, Zhao Dingxianghui had to admit that God loved He Tian very much and did not leave any traces of time on her face. Zhao Dingxianghui touched the corners of her eyes, feeling sour. She is also a human being, why does she have to go through so many setbacks? But He Tian is so lucky and has such a good life and career, but she can only have plastic surgery and leave her hometown to come here. Although she has good food and clothing, what she pays for will become her lifelong nightmare and shame. Although no one knows about it now, apart from yourself, God knows everything in the world, no matter how secret it is. After everyone sat down, Zhao Dingxianghui began to watch the game. Originally, she wanted to hire a killer and attack He Tian directly, but if someone shot, even if He Tian was killed, it would cause panic. There were so many people in the stadium, and if there was a stampede, she and her son would not be immune. Later, she wanted to take her son out of the show midway, but now seeing her son's excitement, he probably didn't want to go out with her, so Zhao Dingxianghui nodded to a young man not far away. About 3 minutes later, the young man winked at a short staff member not far away. The staff member took the bottle and left without taking any action. He Tian, I guess you will go far away. Son, you don't know, because of you, mother, I have let go of my enemies. Zhao Dingxianghui didn't know that just because she didn't take action, she escaped for the time being. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1107. 1105. Previously, Huo Yingzhe and Kui Ying had focused their energy on the strange pair of old women and Su Weiwei. They did not pay special attention to other viewers, so they did not notice what the short staff member was holding. Today's competition ended quickly, and the first place was He Tian. Seeing the high-spirited He Tian, Zhao Dingxianghui was extremely angry. He Tian's pride made her remember the humiliation pouring out. It will make you proud for a while, but Zhao Dingxianghui miscalculated again this time. Her son Zhao Zikai was unwilling to go to school the next day and insisted on coming to watch the game. Zhao Dingxianghui, who doted on her children, could not resist her son and could only accompany her son to watch the game. So the plan was repeated again and again, and it could not be continued for 3 days in a row. But because the short staff member brought in poisonous liquid 3 times, it finally attracted the attention of the plainclothes officers. These people are not vegetarians. This time they came to Xiangjiang with He Tiantian to protect He Tianation's safety and were very concerned about every move around them. One of the bodyguards discovered that this short staff member was holding a bottle every day. It was not a bottle for drinking water, and he could not see what was inside. The plainclothes men followed the staff member to the back and squeezed the short staff member into a corner. "What are you holding in your hand?" the bodyguard asked, looking at the short man. The short staff member looked a little scared and timid, and said cautiously, "I don't have a water cup to hold water." "Water?" The plainclothesman was stunned. The bottle didn't look like the usual quilt, nor was it a mineral water bottle. "Yes, my family is poor and there is no water cup," the short man said. "I like to drink water, so I carry a cup with me. Because the mouth is small, it is not easy to leak." "I see, maybe we are overthinking it," one of the bodyguards said. "Let's go back. After all, there are still many spectators outside." The other bodyguard frowned, still feeling uneasy. "Even if it was a water glass, let him take a sip." "Take a sip," the bodyguard said. "Hurry up, we don't have that much time." The short staff member was stunned for a moment, forced a smile and said, "I'm not thirsty now." "Who are you? Come on, there is a gangster here." The 2 bodyguards were stunned. They didn't expect this timid staff member to dare to shout for help. In fact, if the staff member has no problem, he can drink water to prove his sincerity. But this staff member just spoke loudly, risked being beaten, and refused to drink water, which shows that there is something wrong. Either there is something wrong with the water in this bottle, or there is something wrong with the person. One of the bodyguards immediately grabbed the bottle from the short man's hand, and the other bodyguard caught the yelling staff member with a few grabs. Other staff members gathered around and came to see what was going on. "Who are you?" one of the middle-aged men from the management team came over and asked. "They are gangsters, call the police, call the police." The short man who was caught shouted loudly. Another bodyguard opened the bottle and smelled it. He was shocked and said, "This is concentrated sulfuric acid. Are you a staff member here? Your staff has concentrated sulfuric acid in their hands. Do you think something is wrong?" When the middle-level cotter heard this, his heart skipped a beat. Fortunately, he was caught by these tomorrow's bodyguards, otherwise they would be in bad luck. He said sternly, "Call the police." The voice was sharp and shrill, obviously frightened. "There are so many people in the gym now. If something happens, he, the first person in charge of security, will be unlucky. There are many celebrities from Xiangjiang inside now. If something happens to one of them, there will be an uproar." At this moment, the short staff member tried to escape while everyone was still in shock, but he couldn't get rid of the shackles of the bodyguards even though he tried his best. Thinking of his wife and children at home, and the loan shark he had signed for, the short man felt so cruel that he bit his tongue and committed suicide. By the time the 2 bodyguards found out, it was already too late. Even though an ambulance was called to give the short man first aid. One of the bodyguards felt something strange and followed the ambulance to the hospital. Another bodyguard went back to report the situation quickly, and at the same time, he also had to deal with the police recording a statement. Wei Yuanyuan looked solemn when she heard the report below, but the competition was over and there was still an award ceremony. Wei Yuanyuan sent someone to investigate first, and she followed He Tiantian nearby to prevent emergencies. As the solemn national anthem played, He Tiantian went to receive the award. Kui Ying, Wei Yuanyuan, and others were very cautious. Until He Tiantian received the award and left, the 2 of them never left He Tianation's side. "What's wrong?" He Tiantian asked. "Is something wrong with you?" Wei Yuanyuan explained the matter once, which made He Tian understand. Oh my god, someone threw sulfuric acid at me. Are you sure it was against me? He Tian was surprised. If sulfuric acid was really thrown at her, it would be more vicious than killing someone. Now that person has been sent to the rescue, our people have followed him to the hospital, and there are still people who are investigating the details of that person, Wei Yuan said, but the game is over, we can finally rest assured for the time being. When we return to the hotel, don't walk around at will. He Tian listened, nodded, and said, okay, I understand, you should check it as soon as possible. Yes, Wei Yuan said, this time I finally got some clues. I must check them out. When we arrived at the hotel, He Tian and Kui Ying were still in the room, while Wei Yuan went to deal with things. Besides the concentrated sulfuric acid thing, are there other things? He Tian asked. She had a hunch that things were not as they seemed. Kui Ying went to close the door, then lowered her voice and whispered, Tian, when you were playing, Su Weiwei, the illegitimate daughter of the Zhou family, also came to watch the game. There was a strange woman beside Su Weiwei. I paid close attention. After checking, I found that the woman had a foreign secret technique, and it was initially concluded that it was a Thai voodoo technique. Oh my god, He Tian was frightened. Poison? Is it that disgusting little bug? Yes, Kui Ying said, what I'm more curious about is how Su Weiwei could be with a person who knows goo magic, and seems to be very close. What's even more strange is that on the first day of your competition, Su Weiwei and the head-lowering master we watched the game together, but they hurried back before the game started. The people we sent to investigate found nothing strange. We are still observing, and we will discuss a countermeasure together while you and Huo Yingji come over. He Tian was a little embarrassed when she heard Kui Ying heard Huo Yingji. In fact, Huo Yingji came over every night, but Huo Yingji never said anything, probably because he didn't want to affect her. Well, that's good, He Tian agreed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1108. 1106. In the evening, Huo Yingji came again. Seeing Huo Yingji, she felt relieved and wanted to ask what was going on. The first thing you do when you come back is to change back to your original appearance. He Tian couldn't stand the other-looking Huo Yingji holding her, which was quite strange. He Tian asked, did anything happen to the illegitimate daughter of the Zhou family? I didn't expect that the illegitimate daughter of the Zhou family actually became a disciple of the Taijiantu master. Huo Yingji frowned and said, most of the people who learn that kind of secret art are people with evil intentions. Su Weiwei must have known about Zhou. I want to take revenge for the family matter, but I don't have the ability, so I probably want to resort to evil ways. If Su Weiwei and her daughter are in peace, I actually don't want to embarrass them, He Tian said, but they have gone down the wrong path now. They are a time bomb that will explode sooner or later. Now that they have discovered it, then let's end it as soon as possible. If it were a previous life, He Tian might think that even if Su Weiwei hadn't done anything to hurt her, she wouldn't take revenge first. She felt bad about doing that. To put it bluntly, it is the possession of the Holy Mother's White Lotus. But in this life, He Tian will no longer know that as long as it is harmful to her, as long as it is discovered, it will be strangled in the cradle. She now has relatives, children, and friends, and she doesn't want to harm other people because of her affairs. She cherishes everyone around her and cannot bear to lose anyone. Now she also understood what Cao had in mind when he said those words. He would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. That's what I did too, Huo Yingji said, I've already made arrangements, don't worry. Kui Ying came over and got a reply from Huo Yingji, so she knew how to act. Hwashin has been keeping an eye on the Su family. Granny Ma was a little uneasy and always felt that something was going to happen. So, she went out today and found that the Su family was surrounded by people. Granny Ma hurried back. Su Kenyun was the only one at home, and Su Weiwei was not at home and had gone to the agency. Seeing the change in Granny Ma's expression, Su Kenyun asked with concern, "Grandma Ma, what's wrong?" Granny Ma thought for a while and decided to wait until Su Weiwei came back, lest Su Kenyun have no idea and scare herself first. "It's okay, I'm just a little tired from walking," Granny Ma said. Entering her room, she felt a little conflicted. Now they have been targeted, and Su Weiwei's identity may have been exposed. At this point, it is a bit difficult to escape unscathed. If she was on her own, she would naturally be able to escape unscathed. After all, even if she behaved so badly in Thailand, she could sneak to Xiangjiang alive. But Su Kenyun, Su Weiwei is her savior, and Su Weiwei is still her apprentice. The inherited life goo in her hand is already in Su Weiwei's body. If Su Weiwei is left behind, the sex inheritance will really be cut off. But if you don't leave, what will you do next? For a time, Granny Map was in a dilemma. Time passed very slowly, and Granny Ma kept pacing back and forth in the room. It wasn't until late at night that Su Weiwei came back drunk. Granny Ma wanted to talk to Su Weiwei, but because Su Weiwei was drunk, she didn't say anything. Although she couldn't discuss it with Su Weiwei, Granny Ma had already made a decision. Granny Map took out an incense stick from the box and lit it. Su Kenyun, who was sleeping soundly, fell into a more peaceful sleep. Su Weiwei was also stunned. At this time, Granny Ma quickly wrote a letter and placed it under Su Kenyun's pillow. Then she put Su Weiwei into men's clothes and a wig, and Granny Ma also did a cross-dressing. The loose men's clothes were worn on Granny Mappa's body, making Granny Mappa look even thinner. At this time, Granny Map took out a red pill from the bottle and took it into her stomach. I saw Granny Ma, who was originally thin, gradually getting bigger and taller at a speed visible to the naked eye, and turned into a man. Because Su Weiwei was shallow and drunk, she couldn't take such pills, so Granny Ma modified Su Weiwei. "It's not time to leave now. Wait until the garbage collection truck arrives at 5 or 6 in the morning. That will be a good opportunity." At this time, Hwashin and the two bodyguards were a little tired. Hwashin took out a cigarette to refresh himself, then took out 3 golden copper coins from his arms and began to divine. "This account made me feel cold." Returned in vain. Oh my God, he had spent so much time and finally he could close the net. If he returns without success, he would be really sorry for himself. I was still a little sleepy just now, but now I am awake and staring at the door of the community with wide eyes. However, the garbage truck leaves through the back door, and because it is dirty, people always go to the front. When Hwashin realized that there was more than just one door, he rushed to the back door and saw a garbage truck passing by. As if he had telepathy, Hwashin quickly turned the car around and caught up. However, the garbage truck there seemed to be looking for eyes and kept rushing forward. I don't know why, but that car can always rush across the road before the red light comes on. When 2 or 3 red lights come on, Hwashin is left behind. Hwashin did not give up and chased him all the way to the seaside. When Hwashin got off the car, he saw a stooped man on a steamer. Hwashin waved his hand as if to say goodbye. Hwashin jumped up in anger, but the motorboat quickly disappeared into the sponge not far away, heading into the distance. "It's really a failure," Hwashin smiled bitterly. He worked in vain and didn't know what happened to the main entrance. When Hwashin arrived at the front of the community where the Su family lived, the 2 bodyguards were still staring at the door. But they had already left from the garbage passage at the back. Hwashin went straight into the community and knocked on the door. Su Kenyun was dazed and got up to open the door when she heard the knock. Seeing a strange man at the door, Su Kenyun was a little surprised and asked, "Who are you? Who are you looking for?" "I'm looking for Su Wei," Huashan said. "I'm the new bodyguard sent by the economic company." Su Kenyun didn't believe it and was about to close the door. Huashan pulled out a silver needle and threw it over. There was anesthetic on it, and Su Kenyun fainted. Huashan took out a steel wire, carefully opened the security door, and quickly came in, wanting to search the house to see if he could find any useful clues. Granny Ma left in a hurry and didn't take many things with her. But those small bugs in small bottles were disgusting, so Huashan wouldn't touch them. Huashan went to Su Kenyun's room and found a letter. Huashan was almost angry to death when he saw the letter. This was a farewell letter from Ma Popo, saying that she was traveling with Su Wei and asked her not to worry. "Ma Popo, Su Wei is gone, leaving behind a housewife Su Kenyun, who knows nothing." The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1109. 1107. After Huashan left, he quickly went to report to Huo Yingzhe. If the old woman could escape under such strict surveillance, there must be something special about her. When Huo Yingzhe heard Huashan's report, he frowned slightly, calculated it, and smiled. "Don't worry, I will catch that Granny Ma myself." Because on the day of the competition, Huo Yingzhe felt that there was something strange about Granny Mappa, so he left a trace of spiritual thoughts on her body. Unless the old woman died, the mark would always be there and Huo Yingzhe would be able to find it. "There's no need to rush," Huo Yingzhe said. Since he left anyway, there would be no harm to He Tian for the time being. Now that the man with concentrated sulfuric acid was still rescuing him, he wanted to personally ask that man who instigated him. It was also from this point that Huo Yingzhe discovered that there were two groups of people trying to deal with He Tian. On Su Wei's side, the cause of the Zhou family has been found out, so it will not be difficult to deal with. However, there is no news about the other wave, which makes Huo Yingzhe sleepless. That's why Huashan and Kui Ying were left to be mainly responsible for this matter. If He Tian returns to China immediately after the game, Huo Yingzhe may not be so worried, but he has to attend a charity gala tomorrow night and cannot miss it. The day after tomorrow, there will be an overseas premiere. This was also agreed upon in advance. "Mother Ma, Su Wei has left Xiangjiang," Huo Yingzhe said. "It won't be detrimental to Tian for the time being, and I have already followed Grandma Ma. It is only a matter of time to find them sooner or later. Now we have to investigate those who carry concentrated sulfuric acid. What is that person's background?" Huashan also got news from Kui Ying and learned something about it. "Did Zhao Gang do it?" Huashan asked another target of their investigation, the underworld boss. Huo Yingzhe shook his head and said, "The people sent to follow Zhao Gang didn't notice any unusual movements. It's not yet certain who did it. Let's go to the hospital together now. As long as the man doesn't die, we have to find out something." "Yes," Huashan said, and followed Huo Yingzhe to the hospital. When they arrived at the hospital, Huo Yingzhe and Huashan also got the short man's information. This man's name is Xiaosan Qiang. He is indeed a cleaning staff in the gymnasium. He has a fairly virtuous wife and 2 daughters at home. This person has a good job, but he just likes gambling. If he has a little money, he will go to horse racing or go to Macau. If he doesn't lose all his money, he will never come back. Now this Xiaosan Qiang has a loan shark worth 100,000 yuan. As for whether he was threatened by loan sharks and then did this, or whether it was someone else, you still need to ask Xiaosan Qiang. When they arrived at the hospital, Xiaosan Qiang had already been rescued. In the high-risk ward, Xiaosan Qiang's wife and daughter were crying outside. Seeing this, Huashan cursed in his heart. He had such a good family, but he didn't know how to cherish it, so he only gambled and owed a huge debt. In Xiangjiang, the cost of not being able to repay loan sharks is terrifying. The first is to mortgage all your property. If you can't pay it back, then let your wife and daughter become young ladies and make money quickly. Because of loan sharking, many women have embarked on the road of prostitution and ruined their lives. Although Huo Yingjie also sympathized with the mother and daughter, he would not be so kind as to help this man who might have thrown acid at his wife. The nurse persuaded the mother and daughter to go back. Now they are in the high-risk ward, and they cannot go in. On the contrary, it will affect the order of the hospital. The mother and daughter could only stay far away and visit occasionally. Huashan, look at those three women. I'll go there, Huo Yingjie said. He didn't have time to wait for Xia Sanqiang to wake up, so he could only use the secret medicine. After Huo Yingjie entered, he gave Xia Sanqiang a secret medicine. A minute later, Xia Sanqiang slowly opened his eyes and looked at the white roof in confusion. Where is this? Xia Sanqiang asked confusedly, rolling his eyes. There was an unknown man standing next to him. Who are you? Huo Yingjie sneered and asked, who ordered the sulfuric acid to be brought in? Who was going to pour it on? Xia Sanqiang was stunned, and then he remembered what happened before committing suicide. The pain in his body told him that he was not dreaming, and he was not dead, and said, I don't know what you said. Don't know, Huo Yingjie sneered, you borrowed a loan shark, and those people threatened your family. They can do it, and so can I if you don't tell. Your wife and daughter will not end well. For you, who are only 16, what a miserable life it is for a 20-year-old daughter. Although Huo Yingjie would not really do that, in order to get the news at this time, he had to scare Xia Sanqiang. Some people just can't cry without seeing the coffin. Xia Sanqiang was stunned when he heard this and hesitated a bit. Don't you believe what I say? Otherwise, I will take off your daughter's clothes right now and throw them on the street, Huo Yingjie threatened, with sharp eyes. When Xia Sanqiang heard this, he thought again that if this person could come in, he must be very capable. Please, don't hurt my wife and daughter. They are all innocent. It was my bad gambling that brought them down, Xia Sanqiang said, don't hurt them. Although Xia Sanqiang is a rotten person, he is not rotten to the core. Haha, our boss said that if the information you provide is useful, he will give you a sum of money to properly resettle your family. If it is useless, not only will you have no money, you know what the consequences will be. Huo Yingjie Leng said that this time he must find the mastermind. We can't let Xia Sanqiang's efforts fall short because of his stubborn resistance. Xia Sanqiang knew that there was nothing he could do now. He could only tell the truth and said, it was a man named Abin who found me and said he could help me repay the loan shark. As long as I followed his instructions and paid a lot of money to a man named He Tian Tian, athletes threw acid. Hearing the words He Tian Tian, Huo Yingjie knew that their investigation was in the right direction. What does that Abin look like? Huo Yingjie asked, what's his background? Xia Sanqiang thought for a while and said, I don't know either, but every time I see Abin, he is alone. He is quite young and handsome. Do you have a photo? Huo Yingjie asked. He couldn't identify who it was just from the description. After all, every game was packed that day. I don't have any photos, Xia Sanqiang said. When doing such things, you have to be cautious. I am still a little kid, and it is impossible for me to take photos. If you think about it again, is there any useful information? Huo Yingjie asked. You also said that you were following Abin's instructions. Were they on-site instructions? Yes, on-site instructions, Xia Sanqiang said. The first day was in the 13th row in area D, second from the left. The second day was in the 12th row in area E, the first from the right, and the third day was in C. The first row is number 3 on the left. For the past 3 days, Abin has been sitting in these positions. I really don't know. Thank you everyone for the tip. Wow, I'm so excited. The new book has been sorted out and is being written. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1110. 1108. Xia Sanqiang has told everything he knows and hopes to be treated leniently. Huo Yingzhe nodded and said, "You've already said it, so let's finish it, lest both parties suffer and you still end up in a bad end." "Brother, I have really said it. I have nothing to hide. There are two ways now. Either you can search based on the cameras at the competition venue, or you can look for some clues based on the news captured by major TV stations. There may be some clues there." Bin's photo, Xia Sanqiang said. "This is a good idea." Huo Yingzhe nodded. "We have already had someone do it. You are in the hospital now. It is relatively safe. Your life should be saved. Then my gambling debt." Xia Sanqiang was a little anxious, and he said all he could say. "If you find the mastermind, we will naturally solve these problems for you. If you don't find it, then you can ask for blessings." Huo Yingzhe is not a holy father. He will only do these small things when the matter is over. Huo Yingzhe left the hospital, followed closely by Huashan. Huashan asked hurriedly, "Yingzhe, did you get any useful information? Where are the videos we seized before?" Huo Yingzhe asked. Xia Sanqiang only knew that the man was called a bin, and then he told where the man was sitting. "They are still in the gym. No one has touched those videos except the police," Huashan said. "Let's go over now." "Okay." Huo Yingzhe nodded and went directly to the stadium. According to the location provided by Xia Sanqiang, directly find the corresponding video. Although the pixels are not high, you can roughly see what it looks like. Sure enough, there was this man in 3 positions, wearing a baseball cap. Although he was wearing different clothes, according to the experience of the plainclothes officers, this man was 1.8 meters tall and weighed between 70 and 75 kilograms. Based on the time of entering the venue, Huashan found the person's face when he raised his head and saved it directly. Just when Huashan was about to turn off the video, Huo Yingzhe stopped him and said, "Wait a minute, I discovered a very coincidental thing." This thing was a coincidence, maybe it was a coincidence. As for the 2 and 3 times, 9 times out of 10, it was man-made. "What coincidence?" Huashan asked. "Where is it?" "Look, you can always see this mother and son 6 or 7 places away from this man," Huo Yingzhe said. "Judging from the clothes of this woman, she should be the wife of some wealthy family in Xiangjiang." The local security guard in Xiangjiang on the side quickly said, "I know this person, her name is Zhaoding Xianghui, she is a celebrity in our Xiangjiang. When my concubine got high, she was able to drive her original wife out of Xiangjiang and gave birth to a child. For an old man and a young wife, after the man dies, he will control all the property of the Zhao family." Oh, Huashan was stunned. "Yes, indeed there is this woman every time. From what you said, this woman is really powerful." Huashan looked at the woman carefully and felt that the woman's face was a bit strange and did not fit any of the dozens of facial features recorded. "This woman is quite beautiful," Huashan said. "What else do you know?" "What I know is from entertainment newspapers, about the grudges of wealthy families," the middle-aged man said, "but I seem to have heard before that this woman looks so coquettish, she must have had plastic surgery." Plastic surgery, Huashan suddenly realized. No wonder I also think her face shape is a bit strange. "Boss, I think it is necessary to make this person the subject of our investigation." Huo Yingzhe nodded and said, "Well, yes, it's very suspicious. She seems to have made eye contact with a bin. Send people to look at the video to see if they can find any other information. At the same time, send people to investigate this bin and also investigate this Zhaoding Xianghui," Huo Yingzhe ordered, as if he was getting closer to the truth. Huo Yingzhe couldn't wait. "Yes, boss," Huashan agreed and ordered the people below to do it. Huo Yingzhe and Huashan also went to investigate separately. Huo Yingzhe had a hunch that if he mobilized troops to come to Xiangjiang this time, they might not return without success. While Huo Yingzhe and Huashan were busy investigating, The national swimming team was very calm. Although I can't go out shopping casually, I can still eat some delicious food. Not only can we eat, but we can also watch movies in the hotel to prepare for the upcoming charity gala. Xiangjiang is a place with very developed media, including TV, radio, newspapers, and magazines. After several days of reports, everyone can recognize He Tian, a good swimmer. While admiring He Tian's swimming skills, they also greatly admired He Tian's beauty. Some companies even wanted to find He Tian to endorse their products. However, because there were regulations from above, you could not mess around, so Zhu's Hitao politely refused. The exchange competition ended in just 2 days, followed by social activities. Some local celebrities attended a charity banquet. This charity banquet was organized by a local philanthropist, Mr. Li, the richest man in Hong Kong. Zhu's Hitao and others were invited, so Zhu's Hitao led the team to participate in the name of the national team. They go to participate, of course, not to donate. Speaking of which, their national team really doesn't have much money, but they call on others to donate. Sci-fi was a little excited. She looked at the clothes in the suitcase and said with a look of embarrassment, "Teacher let's go to a charity dinner. What should we wear? We can't wear sportswear, right?" He Tian is watching TV. It is a variety show in Xiangjiang. It is quite interesting. Haha, we are athletes, not celebrity socialites. Wearing sportswear is normal, He Tian said, but her answer did not satisfy Sci-fi. Sci-fi sat in front of He Tian and said, "Teacher that's the richest man. All the celebrities in Xiangjiang will go there. We look very shabby like this." He Tian was a little unhappy when she heard what Sci-fi said, and said, "Fi, why can we attend such a dinner?" "Because we represent the national swimming team," Sci-fi replied, looking at He Tian in confusion. "Is teacher stupid? Don't you know this? You also said that you represent the national swimming team, which is your identity as an athlete. It's just right for us athletes to wear sportswear to attend the dinner," He Tian said. "Besides, the new sportswear we issued is from a well-known brand in our country. It's a sports brand, the fabric is very good, the design is novel, and it looks good on you." That's right," Sci-fi thought about it and felt that He Tian was right. But thinking about the clothes worn by celebrities and ladies, Sci-fi felt a little envious. They can also participate in scenes that they used to see on TV or in movies. The feasting and feasting make others envious. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1111. 1109. Seeing Sci-fi at the crossroads of life, He Tian, a former human soul engineer, was about to teach Sci-fi a lesson. "Think again, if we put on heavy makeup, those so-called dresses and high heels, what is the difference between us and those celebrities? We represent athletes who challenge the limits of human beings, we rely on our own efforts, not our appearance and appearance." He Tian persuaded, "So don't be anxious, be confident, I will put makeup on you later, and you will be a young and beautiful girl." After hearing He Tian's words, all the dissatisfaction in Sci-fi's heart disappeared. "Thank you very much, teacher," Sci-fi said with a smile. After hearing what teacher he said, she understood. Everyone has their own social value. They are athletes, so they naturally do their part as athletes and can reflect their social value. Just because Sci-fi thought about it, it doesn't mean that everyone has figured it out. When Sci-fi went out for a walk and saw everyone else dressing up, she took out a dress she thought looked good and put it on, with high heels and inappropriate makeup on her face. Sci-fi I found it funny, but thinking about her actions just now, she suddenly felt how stupid her actions were. Fortunately, teacher he has already taught her. Sci-fi I feels that teacher he can not only supervise her in her swimming career, but also help her a lot in terms of social experience in dealing with people. She is a typical mentor. Sci-fi I originally wanted to persuade others, but thinking that she was a petty person, few would listen to her words, so she hurried back. He Tian had nothing to do, but couldn't go out for a walk at the same time. He was worried about whether the bad guys outside had escaped, so he kept hiding in the room. When you have nothing to do, read a book or watch TV. Seeing Sci-fi coming back so quickly, he Tian asked, "Didn't you go to other rooms to play with others?" Sci-fi poured a glass of water and said while drinking, "Forget it, I thought I was already very pretty. When I got to other rooms, those women were also dressing up. They were just dressed up, a little nondescript. Fortunately, teacher you just reminded me, otherwise I would make a fool of myself. Haha, they are all little girls. They like to dress up. It's normal," he Tian said, "it's just a matter of what occasion and what identity you go to. That's another matter. After attending the charity dinner, I will take you, 11 wrong, you Jing will go to the Hong Kong Southeast Asia premiere of The Master of Tai Chi together, and I will dress you up personally. Makeup is suitable for such an occasion." Oh my god, Sci-fi was excited, "Really? Teacher do you have an invitation letter?" Of course he Tian said, "Let me see, if possible, call Coach Zhu and let's go to the movies and watch big stars together. Which star do you like? Maybe you can ask for it then to the signature." Sci-fi became even more excited and said, "I like Chow Yun-fat, he is so handsome. We saw Shanghai on the beach on TV before. Oh my god, that TV series is so good. By the way, I also want Zhao Yazi's autograph. It's so beautiful." He Tian was a little embarrassed, "If there is any, I will help you get it, but those are all big name celebrities, so they may not come over." Okay, despite this, Sci-fi was still very happy. After all, she usually didn't have such an opportunity. They are all young people who like to be lively. After checking the time, he Tian took a shower, dried her hair, styled it, and tied it into a high ponytail. Her hairband was made of bright rhinestones and she wore a women's watch on her wrist. She is wearing a red sports t-shirt on her upper body, a white sports skirt on her lower body, and white sports socks and sneakers on her feet. Sci-fi's hair is a bit short and can only be styled into a small ponytail. She wears a headband. She is young and beautiful and wears the same sportswear as he Tian. When they came out of the room and arrived at the conference room, they saw many people wearing strange clothes and exaggerated makeup. However, it may be a matter of technique, so it is better not to change it. Zhu's Hitao came in from the outside and saw the team members below dressed like this. He was so angry that he almost spit blood. If he goes to a charity gala in this state, he will probably write a review after going. "What are you wearing here? If you don't wear good sportswear, you have to wear clothes that expose your arms and thighs, and wear those shiny gold and silver accessories. It really doesn't look good. How are you dressed?" Zhu's Hitao shouted angrily, "Sci-fi, come up here." Sci-fi was stunned. She didn't expect that the head coach thought her clothes were inappropriate, even though she was dressed exactly the same as teacher he. Sci-fi stepped forward, and the head coach said again, "You are athletes, so you should look like athletes. You see, Sci-fi is dressed very well. He obviously has his own team uniform, and wearing those messy clothes is considered what's going on. Go back quickly, put on these clothes, and act together today. Hurry up, I have something to say later, I don't have that much time." After hearing this, CFE Fei realized that he was not talking about her, but praising her. When others saw the head coach saying this, although they were unhappy, they did not dare to refute. The coach has absolute authority in the national team. There will be the Olympic Games next year, and they don't dare to challenge the coach, which will affect future results and competitions. Most of the people went to change clothes. The clothes CFE Fei was wearing were handed down from the team. There are also a small number of people who dress the same as He Tiantian and CFE Fei, so there is no need to go back. 11 Rong came back after changing her clothes. In front of He Tiantian and CFE Fei, she muttered in a low voice, "Oh my, I spent a lot of money to buy those clothes. Oh, I didn't expect that I couldn't put them on." Yu Jingjing echoed, "Yes, my clothes are so beautiful, they are all very popular." He Tiantian didn't say anything, and CFE Fei couldn't help but said, "Well, you have seen that we are athletes. If you put on those clothes, shoes, and makeup, who would know that you are an athlete? Besides, no matter how we dress up, I can't compare with those female stars, so we can just wear sportswear and express my characteristics. There is no need to wear heavy makeup, which will make us look ungrateful in the eyes of outsiders." After hearing CFE Fei's words, 11 Rong thought for a moment and said, "Yes, we are here to represent the country for exchanges and competitions. It is really inappropriate to dress like that." "Yeah, we were wrong before," Yu Jingjing said. "By the way, those female celebrities are so beautiful, so beautiful. Girls are naturally irresistible to beautiful clothes, beautiful makeup, and beautiful accessories. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1112. 1110. Seeing them like this, He Tiantian smiled. "Okay, after finishing this, I will take you to the movie premiere. You can wear those clothes then, but I will help you with your makeup." "Don't do it yourself," He Tiantian smiled. "I usually have a good relationship with them and am willing to play with them." "Oh my god, is this the premiere in the beauty magazine we saw last time?" Yu Jingjing said excitedly. "Oh my god, they are all stars on TV." "Yes," He Tiantian said, "the one in Xiangjiang is even more exciting." "That's great." 11 Rong put her hands together, her eyes sparkling. "Teacher He, you are so great, I love you." The four people murmured quietly, and one after another people came over after changing their clothes. Jiao Lihong looked impatient because she didn't want to change out of her fancy clothes or wear sportswear. But the coach named Zhu had already said it, and she didn't dare to refute it. If a fight breaks out, even if she wins, it will leave a bad impression on the superiors. Just put on some old-fashioned sportswear. In fact, to be honest, these sportswear are really good looking. They are not wide, but designed according to the curves of the human body. Zhang Wenwen spent a lot of effort. However, some people don't think this is a good thing. Jiao Lihong, listening to the laughter behind her, turned around and saw He Tiantian chatting next to several little girls, smiling happily. If you don't know that He Tiantian is more than 10 years older than them, you may not be able to tell that He Tiantian is already a 32-year-old woman. God, I have so much love for this woman. Because of He Tianatian's presence, Jiao Lihong's shine in the swimming team has diminished a lot. If it weren't for her uncle, she would probably be angry to death. He Tiantian felt Jiao Lihong's eyes and just smiled and turned her head away, not caring. We are not from the same group as Jiao Lihong, so there is no need to be familiar with her. Just now she saw that Jiao Lihong and Cai Fenfang were dressed exaggeratedly, with high slits in their skirts and high shoes, so they were not afraid of twisting their feet. Jiao Lihong became even more angry. He Tianatian's carelessness was taken as a silent provocation by her. Cai Fenfang saw this and said, "Don't be angry, we will have a show later." Hearing this, Jiao Lihong smiled and said, "Yes, we have been practicing our duet for a long time, and we will definitely perform well when the time comes. Yes, Cai Fang Fang smiled, I can't wait. Originally, Zhu's Hetao wanted He Tian Tian to perform, but He Tian Tian was really not good at singing, so he refused. After that, there are also programs for the men's team, only 2 or 3. The theme of the performance is still Hong Kong singers. Zhu's Hetao saw that everyone had come, explained a few disciplines, and then led everyone to attend the charity party. Kui Ying and Wei Yuan followed He Tian Tian closely. Tang Qian, Qi Jinmin, Xie Weining, Qian Zhijao were also at the party. Through Xie Weining and Xie Jinzi, Tang Qian met many celebrities in Hong Kong and exchanged business cards. Although we are just acquaintances, there may be opportunities for cooperation in the future. Huo Yingjia also followed, but as a bodyguard, secretly protecting He Tian Tian. The host of the dinner was Wang Mingquan, a famous actress in Hong Kong. Her beautiful face and humorous hosting style made everyone laugh from time to time. There are performances by celebrities one after another, as well as programs by the Hong Kong swimming team and programs from the mainland. Although it is not as good as celebrities, it is important to participate. He Tian Tian sat quietly in her seat, looking over at Huo Yingjia from time to time. Huo Yingjia also looked at He Tian Tian inadvertently. Their eyes often met in the air, but they did so very covertly, and there was something interesting about it. After the performance, there will be a charity auction. Some people put some things up for auction, and those who are more famous put up some antiques, jades, and the like for auction. Celebrities put up albums, rare cassettes, and records for auction. Then it was the turn of the mainland swimming team, Zhu's Hetao, to invite He Tian Tian to the stage because a record-breaking medal belonging to He Tian Tian was going to be auctioned. Really, the national team can only offer this, a more symbolic auction item. He Tian Tian has many medals, but he doesn't care about 1 or 2. Plus it was for charity, so He Tian Tian was very willing. Host Wang Mingquan's eyes lit up when he saw Zhu's Hetao and He Tian Tian on stage. She had only seen He Tian Tian on TV before, but she didn't expect that seeing him in real life would be better than on TV. Even the stunning ladies in Xiangjiang lost a bit of their magnanimity in front of He Tian Tian. Hello, Coach Zhu, Ms. He, can you tell us what will be auctioned today to support charity? Wang Mingquan asked with a smile on his face. Zhu's Hetao, the coach leading the team, spoke first. I don't have anything worth auctioning, but my team member Ms. He is willing to auction off the record-breaking gold medal in the 200-meter freestyle at the Seoul Asian Games last year to support charity. We sports people will also do our part for charity in the future. Ah, Wang Mingquan looked surprised, then this medal must be of commemorative significance. Yes, it is very memorable. This result not only broke the Asian Games record, but also broke the world record, Zhu's Hetao praised. Can we take a look? Wang Mingquan asked, impatiently. He Tian Tian held a small red box in her hand, opened it gently, and took out a gold medal strung with a red ribbon, which shone brightly under the light. It's so beautiful, Wang Mingquan said. Ms. He, what do you want to say? I am honored to be here today to participate in the charity dinner. I also hope that my efforts can contribute to charity, He Tian Tian chuckled, with a clear and pleasant voice. At this time, Huo Yingjia only saw his wife on the stage, so confident and dazzling. Okay, let's start the bidding, Wang Mingquan said with a smile. The starting price is 50,000 Hong Kong dollars, and each increase in price shall not be less than 1,000 Hong Kong dollars. As soon as Wang Mingquan finished speaking, a young voice came over and said, 60,000 Hong Kong dollars. He Tian Tian followed the voice and saw the Snake King Li Xian, and the smile on his face became even brighter. Xie Weining is He Tianation's good friend, so naturally she doesn't want to be seconded, and said, 70,000 Hong Kong dollars. 80,000 Hong Kong dollars. Li Xian called out the price again, determined to take home He Tianation's gold medal. Tang Qian also wanted to bid. Just when he was about to shout out 90,000 Hong Kong dollars, he heard a woman behind him shout, 100,000 Hong Kong dollars. He Tian Tian didn't know the woman, but she knew the man next to her, Tang Pingan. This kid can't spend money like this even if he has money. In He Tianation's heart, Tang Pingan was still the poor boy, and she didn't want him to spend money randomly. It was so expensive that Tang Qian stopped bidding. Tang Qian didn't shout, but Qi Jianmin beside him joined in the fun and said, 110,000.